Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 13 of the VonDubCast. My guest today is Seun Olalekan. He is a guy I met in university. He was studying to be a doctor. He's applied for some med schools and took a couple funny bounces on that to get in. A couple things jerking him around that didn't quite work out the way he wanted, but he didn't pout about it. He decided to chase another dream of his in turning his mother's famous recipe for some cookie snacks into a province-wide phenomenon, and he's not stopping there. He's going to have it all over Canada pretty soon. I believe it pretty strongly, and I think when you guys hear this interview, you will as well. He's really jumping in with both feet, and over the last couple months, maybe a couple years, just watching the way the marketing and how it's shot, and he alludes to that journey that he went on to get to that point, but it just looks amazing now, and it looks so awesome, and the snacks are delicious. The cookies, the original, the thins, the different flavors coming out with the double chocolate, the M&Ms. He's got a new toffee flavor out. Just every one is a banger. I ordered every one that was available a couple months back, and every one was good. I didn't have a bad one in the bunch. So I think everybody should, as soon as they finish this podcast, or right before it, if you believe in it that much, you can go follow him at Mama E Cookie Snacks on Instagram, and it's Mama E Chin Chin .com, I believe, is the website, but it's on the Instagram. So if you go to the Instagram, it's a great follow. Always lots of activity, lots of customer response, and gets everybody involved. It's really awesome to see. So yeah, go there, follow him. If everybody listens to this wants to do me a favor, it really helps the show if you guys can go and support and show that you heard this podcast and you liked what you heard, and wanted to help me out by helping support and purchase some cookies. So yeah, if you guys could do that, I would absolutely love it, and I'm hoping that we can do Sean a solid and get him some good orders coming through from the VonDubCast family here. Yeah, so other than that, like I say every week, if you want to send me any feedback on the Instagram or the VonDubCast at gmail.com email, that would be awesome. Please follow me, the VonDubCast, on Instagram and Twitter. Like I said, it's something that I need to do to grow the podcast. You need to have social media numbers to show people and to show guests that you are of a certain size and a certain platform that they'd want to come join. So it really means a lot if you guys could do that. That would really help me out a long way. And I'm trying to make the Instagram and the Twitter a good follow for you guys, and trying to put a little more effort into that. I know I'm not a big social media guy, but I'm trying to learn it and trying to make it so it's not just you guys doing a big favor and having an annoying page clogging up your feed, but I'm trying to keep it with interesting stuff. The Twitter especially, I'm trying to really keep that interesting, maybe make it so it's something usable where people can learn a few things, find a cool science fact or a really important piece and retweet it there. So yeah, if you guys could do me that solid, I would really appreciate it. And really great interview, some really great feedback on the preliminary listens I've given it to. So I really hope you guys enjoy this one. All right. Welcome, Sean.
Yeah, thanks for having me, bro.
No problem. I was, when I first started this podcast, I was kind of going through my friends list and seeing who was doing cool things, and you were one of the names that popped right up. I always see, every time I seem to check in on you, you always got a new venture going, and it seems like you take ideas and really bring them to fruition. Don't wait on anybody, and I really appreciate that. And I had a couple things I wanted to discuss with you, and maybe you could just start by taking us through how you got on the journey. Has that always been within you, just to take on projects like that and run them through, or is that something new that you've just taken on recently?
I'd say half and half. So graduating university, obviously there was time for me to attack things that I always had ideas about. So
Right.
for example, the snack business, that's always been a lifelong thing because I explained to a lot of people, when we first moved to Canada, those snacks, my mom made them for family friends, for just random people, and people loved them. And I was always telling my mom, I was like, dude, you need to make a business out of this. But of course, I feel for a lot of parents, when they get to a point, they're just they're okay with the 9 to 5. They're okay with I don't want to start something new, especially you've had kids, you've had a job, you know what I mean? It's a lot for some.
100%.
So I feel like it was almost like a responsibility for me to take it on, because it's dude, imagine something that's so obvious in front of you and then not taking advantage of it. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
So it was really, so when I say half and half, it's I always you always think about it, you always fantasize about, oh yeah, I'm starting a thing, blah blah blah, but putting it into action, there's a lot of things that go into it. Like, first of all,
Yeah.
you need the time, and like, of course. So when I graduated, I was applying for like med school and stuff, right?
Right.
And
Right.
then like funny enough, so like the first application I just didn't get in. Second application, the craziest thing happened was they lost my transcript.
No way.
Yeah, dude, they lost my transcript, and from no
Oh,
fault of my own, because there's like an online system where I can check.
yeah.
And the worst
100%.
part is they have a policy that's like, do not reach out to us until after the due date. And of course, they put that policy in there for a reason, because they want to weed out as many students as possible. And
Yeah.
a lot of kids, you'd be surprised how many kids get eliminated purely because they didn't submit their transcripts on time. So they wanted to pin that on me, telling me that, oh yeah, we just didn't receive your transcript. And I was like, well, but anyway, that was kind of a blessing in disguise, because it just afforded me more time to kind of work on this stuff. Because
Right.
so like I started this like officially, like documentation wise, like March 2018.
Wow.
So kind of from then, it was just the first I guess you could say first year and a half, because things kind of really took off this year. So that first year and a half was really just learning about myself, learning about the business, all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, of course.
yeah, but it's been a good journey so far up to now. There's a lot more that obviously I want to do, but
Yeah. And just hearing that is crazy, because my future brother-in-law, I guess would be my sister's fiance, had a very similar thing happen with him. It was same thing with transcripts. It wasn't about sending a not. It was the version that it was, and same thing. It was wasn't his fault in any way, but just it's a crushing blow to take when you feel like you do everything right and you get set up just by some bureaucracy.
And that's the worst part about it, is like, because, and like, just like you brought up, like the bureaucracy of it, these guys, they didn't want to even like, because when I emailed them and I told them about the situation, they were like, yeah, we don't deal with any individual cases. And I was like, I mean, yeah, I get that, but at the same time, like, this is from no fault of my own. Yeah, it's a huge, it is for a lot of kids, it is a huge blow. And like, thankfully I was working on something, so it wasn't as crushing for me. Because yeah, like I had the idea of like, yeah, I want to go to med school, but this I guess journey that I started of building this business, like it was something I was very focused on. I wasn't taking it like oh, whatever happens type thing. Like I was still pretty focused on it. So it definitely wasn't as big of a blow, but it was kind of like, it sucked because you get a lot of people involved. You get reference letters, you get people to verify your documents, all that kind of stuff. So it is a bit annoying when you get so many people involved just to hear like, hey man, your application has been voided because
something so silly.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So that was kind of
that's terrible. But hearing you say that this snack business is not something that you just went into half-assed. You can really see it, and that was what drew me to it. It seemed, and actually made me order it. I was just saying, man, just seeing the effort that you were putting into it made me. I ordered every flavor, every type, just to try them all, and they were fucking awesome, man. Like they're wicked. I see why they're taking off. They're really good. So maybe
go ahead.
I was going to say, maybe just take people back and just describe what the different kinds of snacks are, because I ordered them without really knowing much about them. I just wanted to try them because it seemed like a good business, and I was really proud of all the effort you're putting in, but they were awesome, man.
So, yeah. So, I mean, like, jumping from, I guess, like the very first one was like that, like, original one that you...
Yeah, that was my favorite.
Yeah, really? So, that one, like I said, it was, like, my mom's, like, original snack, the one that, like, people really vibed with. And I was telling her, man, like, you need to sell this. And then... maybe later, funny enough, I think it was beginning of this year. I didn't even think, I don't even know why it took me so long to think about it, but like a lot of people who were like early on customers were always asking me like, does this come in like a cinnamon flavor? And I was like, literally, dude, I just glossed over it. I was like, no.
Yeah.
and then I thought about it, and I was like, man, this thing could really, because I was just messing around one day and I just put some cinnamon sugar on it, and like it really, I don't know. Did you order the cinnamon sugar one, or did you get the?
I got every flavor that was available when it was a couple weeks back, maybe a couple months back. But
and that one's just started going crazy when I started like kind of marketing it. Like people really, really liked that one, because I guess like people associated it with like a crunchy churro type thing.
Yeah.
So then that one went super crazy, and then like the chocolate flavors, like we got like the M&M one, and then I just launched like last week. It's like a chocolate and toffee one. And that one was that has been doing really, really well. Like people
Yeah, it's flying
really
off the shelves.
love that one. But like, yeah, no, like just building it all and like designing these, I guess, flavors or whatever
Mm-hmm.
was really, I guess, an educated decision because obviously the original was the original. That's just because of
Yeah.
the mom, right? But the other ones, and I definitely encourage anybody that's doing a business, like when you're looking for your products to launch, like yeah, you can always start with your original idea, and
Yeah.
then once you want to add more products, you 100% need to do research on what, because like the products that I added were not random. So like all the flavors that I added were directed at a certain target market because like I did like you just jump on the internet, you do a little bit of research of
Yeah.
popular cookies within certain demographics. What do they like
Wow.
more? So I was like, okay. So I added the matcha white chocolate. I got the M&M.
Mm-hmm.
I got the toffee, and the toffee one. Funny enough, another thing, another I guess piece of advice for business
Mm-hmm.
owners is you need to talk to your audience. So like, it's been awesome that I've been like yeah, whatever, we like it's not that many, but we have like 1,300 followers now, and like
Wow.
from that, I was really able to like just talk. Like our audience is like super super responsive, which is
Mm-hmm.
awesome because when I asked them questions of what do you like, what do you not like, I got amazing feedback. So that toffee one, somebody I just threw on the Instagram. I threw up a question. I said like, "What do you guys like? What do you guys want?" And then I
Mm-hmm.
got a bunch of like, obviously you get some like crazy ones. I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna. And then somebody jumped on and said, "Yeah, I would really love like a toffee and chocolate." So I was okay. That sounds pretty good. And then I put
Mm-hmm.
a poll up, and then obviously a bunch of people were in favor of it. So I was okay.
Yeah.
This is awesome. And
Mm-hmm.
then once it finally launched, and then like I'm telling you, man, this like first week of this stuff like went crazy. Like people really really like this stuff.
Oh,
And
that's
then
awesome.
because of that, I was like, another thing that you need to do, because I can guarantee you some like early on business people would do this, is
Mm-hmm.
they don't really even thank the person who gave them the idea. So
Wow. Yeah.
the person who gave me the idea, because I didn't even see the name, I just saw the answer to it. But they ended up ordering, and then in the footnote they were like, "Oh, thank you so much for accepting my suggestion."
Submission. Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my god, that was you!" And like I was doing like, dude, like really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And then so we reached out, send them like an Amazon gift card, then we send them
Oh, nice.
like free stuff too. So
Mm-hmm.
that was like, I guess the moral of that is when designing your products, do your research, and once you have
Mm-hmm.
a following, listen to your audience. Obviously, right? Like
Yeah.
these are the people who are going to be buying from
Mm-hmm.
you, or listening to your podcast, or you know, using your services, that kind of thing. And if you don't listen to them, like don't be like, a lot of people have a huge ego when it comes to things that
For sure.
people say about their stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure, you know, if somebody jumped on and was like, "Yeah, Nick, I don't really like you know, your tone of your," you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
You kind of
Yeah.
take it to heart. Some people take it to heart. Some
Mm-hmm.
people just learn from that and they say, "Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, I can see that." If it's constructive criticism,
Yeah.
then it's something that you want to listen to. But if it's just
Yeah.
random, like, "Yeah, man, I don't like your hat," it's like,
Exactly. Well,
right.
thanks for that. But I think that's also a skill, Sean, is learning to separate yourself from the ideas and have that degree of separation so you can take them the right way and not just react to them. And I think just on the podcast I did yesterday, that was a big thing that he was talking about. Of, you know, you always have to go through life, and the times that you get the most impactful impactful notes or encouragement or discouragement,
Mhm.
the way you take those can shape them, right? It's almost the biggest ones. People react the most negative ways to the more hurtful or impactful, the ones that hit you deep. But those are the important ones. Those that are the ones that say something. You have to,
Yeah.
you know, learn to read your own reactions and emotions to things so that you know what you're really saying, because sometimes your emotions can cloud what you are really thinking about that subject,
It's
right?
mainly, and here's the thing about it. It's mainly because, like, you got, like, if you think about it, it's because a lot of people think that somebody is attacking when you make something, and
Mm-hmm.
like you're in that like crazy ideation phase, and you're like, "Oh my god, this is the best idea ever," and then you present it to someone's like, "Nah, dude, that's actually pretty trash."
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you take that to heart, and you're like, "What? Like this was? What do you mean this is trash? This is the best idea ever?" But like
Mm-hmm.
that's because you think that. The people that
Yeah.
you're trying to sell this to, man, maybe they think like, "Yeah, it's okay, it's all
Mm-hmm.
right." And once a lot of people hear that, they're so quick to like defend themselves, defend the idea, and it's like you cannot. If you enter business and you're defensive about criticism, you will not make it far. Like that's easily the one thing. And like I didn't really have to learn that. I kind of already knew that, mainly because just growing up, like if somebody tells you like, oh well, your study habits aren't producing the grades that you want, what do? You say no and you keep not studying the way you're supposed to study. No, you adapt to whatever the criticism is, that kind of thing. But even leading off that, there was another recent I guess event. This customer, so the double chocolate, so we have that like a double chocolate M&M one, right?
Yeah.
We had a customer like, and I'm telling you, this was the first time ever that somebody has like complained about like the flavor of it, right?
Oh, really?
They said like they were like, oh yeah, like it's not as like chocolatey as I thought, and it wasn't as like cookie brownie ish texture that I thought it was gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
So then like, and just like I said, I could have easily taken offense to that. Like I could have been like Nick, I'm telling you, this is the first person in like hundreds of orders that has ever complained. So this is like one in how many hundred? I easily could have looked at this criticism and said, whatever, I don't even care what you're saying because you're the only person. Yeah. But then like I was really thinking about it. I was like, man, should I change this recipe? Like I'm just like, because in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, just because it's good doesn't mean it can't be better. That kind of thing. And especially if somebody is, being honest with you. And I think that's the biggest thing. If someone has the balls to be honest with you, you should take the criticism. So like I looked at it and I was like, okay, you know what? So I went back to the kitchen, started messing around with a few things, like with like different chocolate flavors, amounts, that kind of thing. And then I popped out with something and I threw it on the Instagram. I said, hey, like we got some criticism and we changed the recipe around. And like a lot of people kind of not necessarily were like, yeah, that was kind of bad. Like you guys should have. It was more so like there was like an appreciation of like, oh wow, like maybe it could have been better, or maybe because like people, there's a lot of thoughts that people don't really want to put into the world because they think like they're gonna hurt your feelings. Yeah, and especially if they partake in your business. They don't want to have a bad relationship with, and like, just like I'm saying, like I could have easily responded to this DM like, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. Just leave us alone, that kind of thing, or whatever, right? I don't even need your business. I could have had that kind of attitude, but like I really took it to heart and I was like, okay, I need to change this around. Switched it around, and the new recipe, like people really rocked with it, super heavy, and like I got a bunch of DMs from a bunch of people. They're like, man, this is so good, like. You guys are so awesome for listening to criticism. Man, this is super good. Stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, it's not to like pat myself on the back, but it's more so like those are the positive consequences of just listening. You just gotta listen. That's all it is.
And it's good, and it's good lessons for anybody listening that wants to start things, because now, like you said, a lot of the times it's people that do want to keep that relationship and keep that positive vibe going. They don't want to say, even if it's just a small criticism, but by showing that the criticism will be taken the right way, it opens up the door in the future for that customer base too. If they do have something where maybe they're a customer that orders all the time and there's one batch that's something's a little different with, and they can give you that knowledge and know that you're not going to take it in the wrong way. And now that opens up your door to get better at every stage of the game. So something I just heard there is it you doing all the cooking and the recipes? Are you're doing it start to finish? Hey, oh, that's fucking awesome, man. That's so awesome.
It's like right now, so the stage that I'm at right now is like I'm like on the cusp of like needing to hire. So it's like right now the only thing I'm looking for is consistency of reaching that like, oh, I need to hire people level, because like there's like the orders that we're getting, it's a very consistent volume, and then there's some weeks that it gets super super crazy, then I'm like, dude, I need to hire somebody. But the thing is, you don't want to rush into that. Like you hear it all the time, like do not scale too fast. You need to consistently be hitting your breaking point in order to say, okay, yeah, now is the time that I need to hire people or expand my operation or get investment, blah, blah, blah. Those are the kind of, because, and it's funny that I even brought up investment before, like kind of before when I was starting this. I feel a lot of people, even myself, this is what I kind of fooled myself into thinking. A lot of people think they need investment very early on. Right. Do not fool yourself, because first of all, there's no guarantee that you even bringing your product to this investor, they're going to be interested. There's no guarantee. So
Nope.
I used to think that investment was the answer to a lot of like the problems I was having early on. When early on it was, you don't really have this like rooted brand. If you have a strong brand and you present it to your customer, and these guys ask you, they just fire off questions to you, and you can answer everything that they're saying, they feel comfortable, and they feel comfortable being a part of your community. So those were the things that I needed to focus on. But meanwhile, I was thinking, I was like, man, like, like, oh, my branding could have been, if I have a couple $1,000 here, a couple $10,000, oh, it'd be so good. But there's no, okay, so somebody gives you 15,000, 20,000, okay, and then what? You know what I mean? Like, if you can't really make good of what you have, and just work on like the small things, the customer relation, your branding, the artwork, stuff that you can do for a few $100 or whatever, then when someone gives you a few 10,000 or 100,000, then you're gonna really know what you're gonna do with that money. Because you can't, there's just no chance. There's just no chance.
And I think it's more than just knowing what to do with it. I think sometimes with businesses, when you get that cash influx right at the start, it glazes over a couple lessons that you should learn yourself by doing it yourself, right? That money can fill those gaps, but then there's super important lessons that don't show themselves. They can not show themselves 5-10 years down the road in your business, those lessons that you learned at the start, or maybe just don't intellectualize them to that point. But I think that's a big issue of lots of people have that frame of mind. I need investment. And instead of, it's also knowing what you're going to do once you do get the money, but it's having the skills to execute with that money once it comes, right? Because if you don't bring that knowledge base and that skill set up within yourself, by the time you get there, you're not ready for it, and that's when things go off the rails.
That's so right, dude. That first point that you just said of the lessons that are kind of cased over by money. Those lessons are, I think, in my opinion, the most, because a lot of people jump off ship of this stuff because things get really hard. And of course, of course, if you have money being injected into your business by someone, not saying that everybody has like that rich family member that's like, here's a few 10K, 100K or whatever. But the people that might have that and completely miss those lessons of struggling is like the best thing, because it teaches you how to pivot. If you don't know how to pivot out of tough situations, like when things get tough and now you start looking for more money, or like, what do you do? That kind of thing.
And I agree. And then also, I think it's from the customer side. I think it's I think they can even feel that that difference between the two, right? All those lessons you're learning, because what I got to see from you building it up, it seemed like every step of the way. And I'm blown. So you do all the social media and stuff. That's all you on by yourself too, right?
My girlfriend, she does graphic design. She works at like a.
Oh, beautiful! I was gonna say, because it's so well done.
Yeah, dude, she goes crazy. She helped. Honestly, that's why I'm saying, like, I don't like to say, oh yeah, I'm doing everything. You got to find for sure somebody who's gonna stick by you, like friend, business partner, or whatever, that understands like the struggle of the business, that wants to contribute.
Exactly.
Like, she's been so helpful, like especially with like I said, the artwork. She's super, and I tell her this all the time, she's like super talented at this stuff. And like helping me is just like a bonus. I honestly encourage her to like brand herself and do her stuff, because she's really good at this stuff. But I can tell it's a huge help with all the graphic work.
And I think you nailed that, and that's kind of something I'm struggling right now with this podcast, Sean. Is I knew I could, find investor. I know people that run businesses that would, obviously, if I asked them even before I started, I want to start this process, would you sponsor it? And they would have. But it wasn't, for all those reasons we said and more, it wasn't really what I wanted to get to. And one of the main things I would take the money for is, hiring someone to help produce, help do the video, help do the editing, right? Help find guests, reach out to people, do that sort of thing. But I think at this point, I still need to put out a solid effort and a solid product to show people what I'm after. I feel like people keep telling me or asking me what this podcast is about, and I don't have a real concrete way to say it, but there is a theme behind it, and I want to just struggle on my own and kind of figure that out and find it, and then find someone who isn't in it for the money, but kind of can understand and articulate back to me what we're going for and wants to join in with the team. And and knows, and once I bring it forward, and understands what we're going for on a deeper level. And that's what I'm waiting for. I know I could spend the money right now. I have the money. I mean, this is a side hustle. I do have a full-time job that I quite enjoy as well.
Mhm.
And I could go, spend a couple $100 a month to hire a producer and that kind of thing, but it would take me off the path that I want to get on. That's why I need to start, just saying it on here and bring it into the world, that I need someone like that.
I think the best thing too about that is there's a lot of skill that you like as an entrepreneur. I hate using the word, but like whatever.
Mhm.
As an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
like when you build a business at the start, you literally need to be everything. So like it sucks. Like if you like again whatever, if you have the money to cover those things, and like you can just hire a developer, you can hire an editor, all that kind of stuff. Sure, whatever. Nobody's gonna stop you. If you have the money, go do it. But for a majority of people who are just kind of starting this stuff, in my opinion, I think I encourage people to learn every facet of their business, because just like you brought up, if somebody comes and they say, "Dude, I want to invest in this. Tell me everything about your business. What is your why? Who is your who? What is your audience? Like if you can't hit all those points, and all you did was hire a few people to do that for you, in my opinion, this is my own personal opinion. I think that's lazy business building, because that's not it for me. That's you're not into it. That's like,
couldn't agree more.
Once again, if you have the resources,
yes,
for sure, use it. Use the leverage that you're given and you're born into. But if you have the opportunity to learn every facet of your business, take those opportunities, because 10 years down the line, when you have how many employees, you still need to understand the bits and parts of your business so it runs smoothly, because you don't want this dude doing this over here and then you say, "Oh, that's not what I wanted." But at the beginning, there was no guideline for him, because you hadn't done it yourself. How are you going to explain to somebody else what you know what I mean? What you haven't done yet?
Yeah, exactly. My favorite analogy for this, Sean, is it's those things you're talking about are the foundation that you build, right? And then the rest of your business, you're building upon that. And if you take shortcuts and let those kind of things, right? Hiring people to do things that really need your physical touch on it as that entrepreneur, or whatever word you want to put on, you're not building that foundation as strong as you could. And you might not see that right away. Like you said, that can be 10 years down the road that, money can be scaffolding around this thing you're building. But eventually, if that foundation isn't what it needs to be, it's gonna make itself known, right? And sometimes there's ways that you can go back and you can fix it. And there's times that whole building falls down, right? It depends who you are. And I think a big piece of that is how quickly can you recognize if that does happen, right? Because some people, they think they're doing the right thing, because that's exactly it, Sean. You're told, investment, that's what you need. And people go that way and they think that's what they need. So they get to this point where they have this business built up, but they don't really understand the foundation. It's not all hope is lost at that point. It's hard, but you can take those steps back. You can go spend days with people on your team and relearn these areas that you maybe glossed over with money or whatever else. Maybe you just have an overly supportive support system that kind of filled those gaps for you, just trying out of love and stuff for you, but not really what you need at that time. And but it takes that. If you don't realize that and take that step back to go do it, eventually that foundation will crumble. If you try and pretend, no, I don't, or ignore it, it's all going to come crashing down one of these days. It's just a matter of time, right?
Literally.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. No, it's definitely important to learn and not be scared of, because I think that's the biggest thing. Don't be scared to really take those challenges on, because I think people understand, like, don't look at the time. I think that's the biggest thing. Don't look at the time. Everybody's in a rush to flex. Everybody's in a rush to say what they've done. Who cares, man? If you're not doing this because you enjoy it, dude, everybody loves money. Okay, let's not lie to ourselves. But if you're not happy doing what you're doing, most of these big businesses take 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years to build to a point. And then everybody just jumps on social media and they look at this stuff and like, oh my God, like I want this. And then they start and I think that's the worst part, is they start scrambling. And that investment thing is something like, dude, I'm not even 5 years into this business. And like, when I first started this thing, and like I said, I was like, oh man, do I need investment? I was kind of like scrambling my mind. I was like, but I liked this one video that I was watching, and the guy said, honestly, you need to, the best time to get investment is you have to have reached your breaking point. If you haven't reached that, then what do you need investment for? Honestly, like genuinely, like if you don't have, and like that doesn't even necessarily mean that you don't have a physical product made yet. So for example, like maybe you have the concept, say like an app or a company bringing a new product to the market or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And you already have interest in your product. That's a good place that okay, you need investment with, because not necessarily every business has to, you build it and then okay, you accumulate customers, your sales start growing, blah blah blah, and then you get to a breaking point that damn, I can't do this anymore. That's when you get investment. But some businesses as well, you can have major interest. So maybe you started a email list of, hey, this is the product we're bringing to market, and then all of a sudden you have 10,000 emails. That is also good data to bring to someone and saying like, yeah, dude, I have 10K people waiting to download this, or I have 10K people waiting to purchase this. That's also a good, but you need to, again, you need the numbers, you need the breaking point to reach for investment. Other than that, dude, it's either you get it from working or from your inner circle. That's a lot of consistent advice that I've even received from a lot of people, from friends who are in business. I did an interview with this one lady. She's a CEO of this. It's like a smart vending machine company. It's in the States, and she's received like millions and millions in investment. And when I talked to her, I was like, so like what? When did you see that it was a good time to reach investment? And she said, my first investment was from the people directly around me. And then from there, she pivoted and said, I have this product, blah, blah, blah. And then she was able to receive that other, how many million? I think she even just did a recent round. I was on her Facebook, that she just acquired this other company, and then they did a crazy round, and I think they raised almost 2 million. It was crazy, but that kind of, another thing though, that takes time. She's been at this for like years,
for sure.
And like when people hear that stuff of like, yeah, man, I raised 2 million, they get antsy and they start like, oh man, like I need to, you know what I mean? Don't just because you hear some good news from somebody else doesn't mean that you need to speed up or what. Do your own thing. Don't worry about, you know what I mean? Don't worry about all the stuff that's happening over there. So
And I think a good way to think of investment, or at least for myself, I don't know if this is a good thing or not, but I think a healthy way to look at it is that what that investment is to you should be just a speed up to get you to a point you can already achieve yourself. It's just going to get me there faster. If ever that next investment step that you need is going to take you past what you could do right now, or what you could do right now, you're just not there yet. It would happen 5 years and it's going to take you down to 2. But if you need that money, I couldn't take the step at all. I would never be able to take the step, right? I think you have to keep that in mind, of always keeping it within your realm and understanding when it's something you can do and something that you need that investment round, and then balancing that. Because if you don't have that understanding going into it, that's when you're going to do investment at the wrong time, or with the wrong situation with the wrong person. You have to
money, and you're going to burn bridges, because people are going to be like, dude, what is this? This is you haven't produced anything. And like that's honestly so true. If you don't have a goal that's set and say like, yeah, okay, we're doing, I don't know, let's say we're doing 10,000 units per month or whatever, and we have so much demand that we could reach 50,000. We just don't have the resources. That's something, like you said, it's, you see the vision, and then the investment helps you get there. That's literally the best way that you can think about it.
And I think also what's even healthier than that is once you see that and you can see, like say it's 10,000 to 50,000, not that jump. And now what is this money? What am I giving up in my company? And now I can weight that, and you can put it in a term of how many years of investment and of advancement is this taking me in my business compared to the amount of equity or whatever it is that you're giving up, or dollar amount, right? Whatever structure you're doing, but at least you can put it in terms of exactly what you're getting for it, and you have a full understanding, so you know whether right or wrong on this call, you fully have understood the decision you're making. I feel like that is one of the biggest things I see in business of decision making, is people that aren't they think they're making a decision that is fully thought out, but they have not given it the full time and respect that decision makes. And when you're talking big decisions, that can get you in trouble. So many people don't understand decision making to the degree that is, and it's so important for business that you need to, spend, or maybe you have to have a meeting on a decision. Bring all your people around you. Maybe at this point it's just you, your girlfriend, your mom, just your inner circle, and discuss these decisions. This is a big decision. I think I've saw it every way, because when you're doing it on your own, and this is something I find with businesses, I can think through a big decision. Maybe it's how we're going to restructure our pricing system. I can think of it a million different ways, but until I sit down with the whole team and kind of go through out loud how I'm thinking about it, there's pieces that you miss. Oh, you didn't think of this. How is that pricing going to come off to our customers up north? It's kind of a different area. Oh, I didn't even think of that, right? And then they give you that. I think it's when you reach a big decision, you need to give it the respect that it deserves. I think people
and dude, so many people are so scared to do that. They're so scared because they know, like, 80% of people know the answer is going to be no. You know what I mean? Like, so many people know that, like, a lot of people just jump into the decision. Like, okay, my opinion of that is you shouldn't be scared to start something, but don't be stupid. You know what I mean? Like, don't be stupid. Yeah. Don't make an uneducated decision to jump into something. You need to understand where is the interest. Like, you have to ask yourself the hard questions before you jump into something, and commit a lot of time to it. Because once you start, and if you're a type of person that, yeah, man, like, I can do this, that's a good attitude. But if you're pushing something that isn't very viable and doesn't have a lot of interest, then you're screwing yourself over for like. And I don't like to, focus again on the time aspect of things. The time is still very, like, use your time well. The time that I'm talking about is once you've started something that has the interest, okay, just keep grinding at it, keep pushing, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But use that time wisely, because if you start something without the criticism, without the, hey, is this going to work, that kind of thing. And a lot of people, I want to make that statement clear, because a lot of things work when a lot of people tell you it won't work, but that's because there is still some sort of data or some sort of interest that you can find within that idea. For example, podcasting is a broad market, and it is a very good market. So a lot of people might tell you, yo, man, you can't do this, bro. Nah, go, find it. But the overall, they're not even looking at the overall market of how huge podcasting is, how huge entertainment is. Maybe they're just looking at you and they see you in your early stages of learning podcasting, right? Maybe your sound equipment's not as good. Maybe, the inflection of your voice and your pacing isn't as good.
The format.
Exactly, the format. But that's stuff that you learn and you fix and you get better at. That's 100% not what I'm talking about when I'm talking about time being used wisely. It's more so, for example, yo, man, I'm trying to introduce inflatable pants to the market. These things are going to be crazy. Yeah. It's like, but like, who wants that? Like, tell me what.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's certain things like that it's like, don't be delusional. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a difference between persistent and delusional. Delusion is you're wrapped in an idea that has absolutely no base whatsoever. Yeah. But persistence is, you can see the goal. You can see how you can get there. It's just a matter of, navigating your way.
And learning those steps as a time, because like you say, you're always getting better. That's this podcast, right? I've had people, are people ever going to listen to 3 hour, like a 3 hour pod? Who's going to listen to that? And I've been hearing that tons and all those kind of things, but I can see what I want it to be, and I have that vision, so it doesn't bug me that much. And I think earlier when you were talking about everybody being worried about marketing it and getting it out to all those people, my dad is such a businessman, it's killing him to watch me do this and not be marketing it as widely as I can. But right now, that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get as many on, get better at this, learn how I want to talk on mic, learn my format, what I'm about, my theme itself. And then once I have it to a point where I'm proud of it, then I'm off to the races. I already have the ideas. I'm already formulating these plans in my head of when I do feel confident, I want to market out of all the different ways I can go about that and stuff. But I want to have something to go back to. I think a lot of times people, they try so hard in focusing on getting it out to people that the people that it does reach, they come back and there's nothing for them, right? You have 6 podcasts, and even if you keep putting them out, maybe that's not enough to get them hooked. Maybe they needed a catalog of 15 to go pick the 2 most favorite ones out of that speak to them to get on board. And once they listen to a few that really speak to them and learn who I am and what I'm about, then maybe they'll come along for the ride with some ideas that are off of their radar. Maybe they aren't interesting in esports or something like that, but they've heard me on these other things, maybe business ones like this, where, oh, well, I kind of think I like what he's talking about. Maybe I'll take his angle on this. And then you can go, that's where you want it to be, where you have something for people to go back to. And for yourself, you don't want to start marketing this great cookie business to people and then have people have nothing to go back, or you have one flavor. What you want it to be, you want to match your marketing and your goal of what you have for people for what they're going to see, right? And I think that is a big thing that I know it's been killing him not to be able to just get it on every why are you only putting it on Instagram right now? Why aren't you putting it on Facebook? No, I've thought this through. If I know how to put it on Facebook, it's not like I'm missing. You have this big key piece I'm missing. Yeah. I'm choosing to do it on purpose, where I'm just building it up slowly with the group that I the viewpoints and the group that I want to see it first, to get that feedback and kind of grow with. And then once I get to that point, that's when you get it out to the masses and you get to that point. And I feel like that's something that he's really struggling to understand a little bit.
So there's 2 points that I kind of want to, or let me start with the first of the thing that a lot of people need to be careful with, though. So when listening to that, there's one thing I kind of pulled out of the idea of being ready. And
right.
It's okay. So the idea of being ready is a hard one to navigate around.
Yes.
Because for me, so I'm just going to use my personal experience, like with growing this business. When I first started, like putting out the cookies or whatever, so like obviously the recipes weren't as consistent, the recipes weren't as good, blah blah blah, that kind of thing. Right. But I still tried to sell, right? The hard thing is, regardless of me trying to sell and knowing how bad it is, like knowing how bad my packaging was terrible when I started this stuff. My branding was terrible. My Instagram terrible. Like all this stuff was so bad. Like it was, bro. I scrolled back to when I first, and it was just excruciating. Like the pics of like the snacks and like this and that. I was like, bro, this is terrible. But here's the thing: is like, if I kept waiting and waiting and waiting, that's a whole year worth of lessons that I've completely missed. So like that idea of waiting for the right moment. So I don't necessarily think that's your point, your issue. But
I definitely did at one point.
Yeah.
That was the same. You nailed it. That was me starting to actually buy the equipment and stuff. I was there. Oh, I'm not ready yet. I did that forever. And then I had to hit that point of, fuck, it's never going to be the perfect time. I have to just jump into this. I have to go to buy this shit and start just lining up interviews and get going. And I agree with you.
The thing that I kind of heard before is you also just need to, regardless of your state of like, oh yeah, I'm ready or not, you kind of need to, again, educated, wise, like make sure you know what you're doing. Go all out in terms of different avenues in terms of distribution, whatever.
Yes.
So for example, when I started off like this snack thing, like I was doing like markets, like little night markets. I was trying to reach out to little coffee shops, like little grocery store, blah blah blah. And obviously I heard no from like a lot of like the, I guess, like main grocery stores and a lot of coffee shops, because it wasn't ready, and I knew it wasn't ready, but that didn't stop me from like hearing what they had to say, that kind of thing. So, and it's funny because now, like, so I've had like a few coffee shops, and like this brewery in Calgary actually reached out, and I supply their brewery and that kind of stuff. But like a lot of people, it's like once you start and you go through those struggles, all the things that you were kind of reaching for at the beginning, they kind of come full circle and come back to you, because a lot of these, I guess, like partnerships that I have now, like they reached out to me, like the brewery that I supply to now, they DM me and they said, hey, like we're interested in hearing it, because they see that they're interested. He has the following, he has like the sales or whatever, that now they're interested. So back to my main point of starting, of, oh, I'm not ready or blah blah blah, dude. Sometimes putting it on different platforms, on interviewing different people, because a lot of people want to say like, no, that's not the right person I want to interview. That, who cares, dude? Like, just talk, meet people, network with these people, and whoever, it doesn't matter what business you're starting, you need to
Mm-hmm.
you need to jump in there again, educate yourself,
Yep.
but you gotta start, and don't tell yourself, oh, I'm not ready yet, oh, I don't have. A lot of people start a lot of cool businesses with absolutely nothing, with the
Mm-hmm.
iPhone, maybe a little stabilizer or whatever, a little
Yeah.
like terrible paperback. It doesn't, and the hilarity of it is that once you start growing out of that, it's dope looking back because it's like, bro, this is how far I came. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, no, yesterday was my 1 month anniversary of releasing the podcast, and it was cool to look back. The views are cool, but what I thought was what was nicer was to go back and go through all the nice things that people have said and the support that you get in that first month. And that was kind of, what I had to be appreciative of, and kind of keep in the forefront of my mind. But I think another thing that you hit on there that's really cool in my head that took me a while to make this realization. There's times where you need to be ready, and there's times where you will never be ready because you can't be ready until you start, right? Just like this podcast, until I started doing the interviews and stuff, almost every interview I get another idea for another person to reach out to, or they know somebody cool that they can put me in touch with, right? It snowballs from that, but you would never be able to even get into that role unless you did your first interview, right? Same with you. You'd never get in with, this one supplier if you didn't go meet this one and actually start the ball rolling. And I think that's an issue that, it has to be educated, like you say, because if you just jump into something without knowledge, you're gonna burn yourself out, or you're gonna just go down a bad path and waste your own time. But as long as you're educated, you have to get started. As soon as you've done that base work, you have to be really. So much of business comes down to being honest with yourself, and I think that is so hard for so many people that I think that is almost one of the biggest barriers to entrepreneurship, to business in any sense, is just people being scared of being honest with themselves. And I think that is something that if you want to succeed, you have to not only be honest with yourself to start, but throughout the process, you got to keep being honest with yourself, right? When you get that note about the cookies, you have to be honest with yourself and say, can it be improved? Is it already perfect, or can I get better at it? Right. Yeah. And just hearing all those different avenues you went to get your cookies in, one that just occurred to me kind of as we're speaking, I'm just curious if you'd gone down this route, was when I first got them, one of the first things I thought, more so with the original and the thins and the cinnamon ones, I was thinking, man, this would be a great ingredient for like culinary, for baking and stuff, for like, decorating cakes, crunch it up, put it on stuff. And I was wondering if you reached out to maybe Nate and Sade about their culinary programs to try to get in with a deal with them, because all those chefs and stuff, that'd be pretty cool. I actually, I know one of the higher up guys at Nate. Maybe I could put you in touch after, right? Like things like that just kind of pop up. It wouldn't have, unless we started talking, that idea wouldn't have occurred to me, because if it would have occurred to me, I would like to think I'd reach out to you. But doing something like this, it forces it to happen, right? It gets your brain thinking, gets those juices flowing, and just maybe that idea would have never occurred to you unless you talked to me, right? Like there's all the, I love the way things work out for that and how things pop into that. And that's been one of the funnest parts, probably the funnest part of starting this podcast, is just seeing all those little pieces fall into place, that it almost seems like I'm not even doing this. It's just guiding me. I'm just following this path of one person shows me this and I follow up on that, and it shows me this and I follow up on that, and I'm just riding the wave.
A lot of people are scared of that though. Like, because man, there is no right answer. There is no right path. So when people, and I find it so funny when people like make it or whatever, and then people ask them like, yeah man, how'd you do it? Or like, it's like literally 99% of the time is just it's the worst answer in the world, but it's just not giving up and like learning mistakes. That's literally all it is. That's all it is.
It's getting to work, getting stuck, and then problem solving that, and getting back to work, getting stuck, problem solving that. That's all it is, really. Like, and that is analogous to anything you want to do, whether it's starting a business, whether it's starting a process, whether it's learning a new skill. It's always that, right? The entire life is just problem solving. It's just people are so scared of that, but really it's the same skill every time. You have to format it different, but it's the same thing you're doing. It's not like you need to learn a million different things. You just need to learn how to learn and how to problem solve, and then you're off to the races. It's just that lesson almost needs to happen once you've started, and because people are waiting for everything to be perfect, waiting to be ready, they never get to learn that lesson. And I think just the earlier on, right, that's great that it seems like you've learned that lesson at the age you're at, but I think there's a lot of people that don't learn that till they're 30 and they change their lives around, they start to get going, or 35 or 40, right? There's sometimes that you're 50 years old and you make that realization you only have a certain amount of time left. And I think that is a great goal for myself, and trying to put this out to people is hopefully younger people will hear this and make that realization earlier and start to pursue whatever it is that they want to do. Or maybe they don't have something they want to pursue right now. But they'll keep that in mind as they're starting to see it, as they're coming up with an idea. of learning where they want to go and what is important to them, they can be educated about how they will get there, so they can keep in mind and have a better understanding of the first steps. If they do ever stumble across something, maybe they didn't know they liked it until they go skiing for their first time. Oh man, I want to be a ski instructor and I want to live on the hill. This is for me, right? They wouldn't have known that until they got out there. But now, if you've already had that mindset of how I can get to that, okay, first step, I'm going to reach out to a couple places that I think would be nice to live, and I'm going to reach out to the ski hills and see if they have a program for training there, or do I have to go somewhere else, right? And you're already on that step, and as soon as you find that thing that connects with you, you're immediately off to the races and you can jump right into it, right? And I think that is an important message.
I think one thing as well, it's like a lot of people, they're scared of, like, I don't want to call it failure inside, but when you're starting the business, I've seen like a lot of people, like they're like in a start stop thing. It's like just like we were talking about with the problem solving. A lot of people, when they reach that first like roadblock of anything, they feel like, okay, yeah, no, this I knew it. This business wasn't really good from the start, and then they just kind of like trash it. And I think for me, one of my biggest fears is doing something and then all of a sudden saying like wasting that time. So you like maybe, I don't know, a year or two, and then stopping and saying like, nah, I don't want to do this anymore. And I think a lot of people do that because they almost don't even believe in it themselves, because it is, man, it's a hard thing. It's so cliche, but it's a hard thing to do. Believing in what you want is a hard thing to do, because there's a lot of I don't even want to call it evidence, but cases of people not making it, and that's okay, because that's not you. You know what I mean? And a lot of those cases that start stop is because they reached a roadblock and they just didn't really know how or really want to work around it. And like that idea of, starting one business and then you stop it, and you start another business and then you stop it. It's like you're not going to learn anything, and you're not going to build anything. Because a lot of people, like, for example, when I kind of started this, I was learning like Facebook ads and stuff, right? So like now I'm pretty good at using Facebook ads. But like when I first started this stuff, I was like, man, these ads don't yield anything. I was like, man, this is a bust. Who's saying that these Facebook ads work? So I would kind of like stop using them, and then obviously I'm not getting sales because I'm not marketing myself. And then I started again, and I'm like, and then you have to and then there's one, I think it was maybe like a month or two ago, that I started like toying around. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's not the Facebook ads. It's so I started tweaking with, like the text, like, or like what you're saying, that kind of thing, the imaging, because I thought I had pretty good photos, right?
Yeah.
But then I started playing around with it, playing with color, playing with positioning, this and that. And then all of a sudden, now my ads are yielding something. So now, okay, so that. I was like, okay, I'm learning from that. But again, if I start and I stop, and I'm like, whatever, I trash that, you're not gonna learn anything. And then of course, and that goes back to my point of those people that, quote unquote, fail because they stop. In my opinion, I think the only true failure is you quit, you stop. That's failure. Yeah. So the people who failed are the people who start, stop, and then they didn't work through that barrier, and then they say the whole thing is a bust. They say, hey, podcasting, it's not worth it. You won't make it. Business, you won't make it. That kind of thing, because they didn't work through that roadblock. You know what I mean? So
and then all they're stuck saying is, oh, people don't like podcasting isn't good, right? That's what they say. And I found
internalize that.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing that I found for myself, and I think it's helpful for others too, is a good way to keep yourself honest and keep working towards it, is to try and treat everything as getting better, right? That was one of my favorite parts of starting this podcast, because it's very very explicitly, I can explain this in very explicit terms for a podcast, but you can make this argument for any personal growth for starting a business. Is these are skills, the skills I learned in how to talk to someone, how to have discussions, how to keep conversation going, how to learn, how to be okay changing my position. These are skills for life. it also helps you become a better podcaster. But these are things I can take out. But that was a realization I made before I ever started the podcast. That was a realization I made when I was first got into this role in Grand Prairie doing this fuel business, and I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was learning it so quickly, and I was enjoying it because, like you say, it was every day. It was problem solving. You know, it's get a million different things. You know, a truck rolled over, this happened. You know, this guy quit, and you're just in constant figuring out mode. And then by the time I finally got my feet under me and I felt pretty comfortable with it, I had that realization of, man, is this what I want to do for my whole life? Am I going to be happy doing that? Like, sure, it's exciting and I'm learning stuff, but now I'm learning less every day. Like the learning curve slowed down, and I was still enjoying it. Don't get me wrong. And I still got a lot out of it. But one thing that really helped me was to do the same thing with that business of, it doesn't matter if this is going to be something I do my whole, maybe it will be, and maybe I'll enjoy it. If not, but I'm going to try and treat this just like the podcast. What are the ways in this business I can learn to get better with people? I can learn how to, you know, relate to employees. I can learn the accounting side more. I can do all these things. I just want to treat for however long I do this, maybe it's 5 years, maybe it's 30 years. I'm going to treat every day as I just want to grow and learn something from this, so that if, you know, they shut down, the Alberta oil patch is shut down tomorrow, nobody's working, I had to go start a new business, right? Maybe you know, whatever it was, or start a podcast, I would be able to take all those skills because I'd be actively trying to develop them. And that mindset shift made me so much happier on day one. Just as soon as I started looking at it that way, I was so much more at peace with it. And I was putting so much stress on myself about, is this going to be what I'm doing? Oh, you know, is this my whole life? Am I going to be in this role forever? And until it doesn't matter. You know, if I'm and just knowing that I have that freedom to be like, tomorrow, I've learned so much already in the 3 years I've been doing this. If tomorrow I wanted to go start a business, I'd be so much better off than 3 years ago. And I've learned so much that it's starting this. And then that same with this podcast, right? And if you can keep that, I think it's dual sided, where it can keep you more entrenched and motivated, so that when you hit those roadblocks, you don't just give up, because you're just treating it as learning lessons, and it stops you from these roadblocks being an inconvenience to being something that's making you better. It's the mindset shift of how you're going about them. And I found that was such a big, you know, revolutionary change for myself, that it helped me, you know, less pressure, more happiness at work, more happy to go through when shit goes wrong. You can kind of, oh, well, man, if I can deal with this, if I can get through this one, you know, right? I can get through anything, right?
I love that. No, I love that, dude. I love that you said that, because I think, man, in my mind, it doesn't even matter if you own a business or whatever. In my mind, I think it's a cop out to not want to get better. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what you do. If there is a roadblock, like nothing frustrates me more than like someone who like complains about a situation but doesn't want to do anything about it.
Yeah.
It's like that doesn't even have to do with business. That's just life.
Everything.
Dude, life is hard. Like, look, life is
for
hard.
everybody.
For everybody. Life is hard. So when things get tough, are you really about to just fold and just let it just take you under? No. Like, you have to, it's all these experiences that we go through, the tough stuff. Yes, it sucks. But we have to look at it, just like you said, as a learning experience for us to get better. And it's like, it's like, I don't want to keep bringing it back to business, but all this stuff that we learn, I feel like, just like you said, if I wanted to start a new business, all these things that I've learned, like the struggle of starting it up, I'm not going to feel the pressure of that, because I just know that's how the game works. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And just like you said, being honest with yourself, be honest and understand that the game is hard. Life is hard.
Yeah.
You're going to fail, but that doesn't mean you stop. That doesn't mean you fold. So I know I really love that's what that point that you brought up.
Yeah. And that's and then going through stuff like that. And I think some of those realizations, a lot of those came from me. I was listening to podcasts all the time, because when I moved up here, I didn't, still don't have a ton of friends up this way. So who is I going to listen to? You don't have people to conversate with for 3 hours. So you throw on a podcast, right? When you're sitting at home, before my girlfriend moved out here, I was sitting at home every night. I didn't watch TV. I just listened to podcasts, and you're having your head constantly filled with those lessons and just every different one, right? Not all of them were business podcasts or those kind of things. Lots of them were funny, but you get all these senses, and just what it did for me gave me that sense of, oh, how cool would that be if I could ever do that for somebody else, right? If I could be that voice. And it just took me a long time, way longer than it should have, for me to realize that, why can't you try it out, hop on, and maybe you'll be really good at this. And one of the biggest realizations I had was, you look at all these people that are the biggest podcasters in the world that have been doing it, 8 or 9 years now, pretty much since the inception of podcasting. So they went in not even knowing what podcasting was, and started up and built it in less than a decade into a huge like global thing, and they had nothing even to go off. So now I have this experience of, I just, for the past 4 years, I've listened to tens of thousands of hours of the best people in this podcast game, taking the best little pieces from everything. I should be set up realistically. If I'm honest with myself, I may not have the 10 years experience, but experience can be gained, right? I can get now in 10 years. I started off with that foundation of all this knowledge and all these things I liked and didn't like, that these people that are amazing at it now didn't have. And now imagine what I can look like in 10 years if I can start with that, build upon it, going through all this stuff. All I heard from every podcaster was, man, I wish I started earlier because my first 50 episodes were terrible.
Buddy, I should have,
right?
I should have started this. I should have started. Just do it. You're gonna thank yourself.
Just do it. Yeah.
Thank yourself, man.
Yeah, and that's everything. Just keep that goal in mind of what you think you can do, and then just keep going at it, and just you'll gain that experience. You'll get better at it. But maybe just for some people that are struggling, and like you say, life's hard, and right now life's hard for plenty of people in all these different ways and new ways. Than you thought you would learn every different way what life could kick you in the ass, and then 2020 comes out and finds new ways, right? And out of your control. So maybe, do you know any of the hardest times that you had to go through? Maybe, times where you felt like giving up, that were things in that journey? Maybe, I know it's a hard question to put you on the spot, and we can maybe come back to it, but I think that would help people.
I think, dude, if I'm going to be honest, like I think the med school time where, like, because I did it the first time, and then the second time where with the application thing, and I wrote my MCAT 3 times, right? So the first time wasn't very good, second time wasn't very good, and then the third time I did pretty well, right?
Right.
And that score that I was using for my MCAT was the one I was applying for that second time. So I was kind of frustrated, like that whole ordeal happened. But I guess moving past that, the business, like starting the business, especially early on, and maybe up until like, maybe January, February, because things started really getting like nice and consistent, maybe like March or April. Like things like, I don't know what even happened. I think honestly it probably was like the COVID situation that helped everything kind of like blow up, because literally everything started moving online, and like my primarily online, like straight to customer, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But I guess before that, struggling of just, I was always questioning my motives, questioning what was going on, and like I'm like really, really hard on myself. Like I don't think I'm like,
me too.
Every competitive person, anybody that wants something from themselves, is very hard on themselves. Like, and it's so funny because I always give advice when people are like, oh, like, how do you do this, blah blah blah. Yeah, man, just be patient, blah blah. But like when it comes to like taking my own advice,
100%, same here.
You always have to ground yourself. But I think, yeah, man, like when things are quiet for like were quiet for my business before things were as consistent as they are now, I was really like almost angry at myself, because I was like, man, what am I doing? Like I was like, you know what I mean? Like it's so frustrating. But then I was just like, I came to this like, yeah, whatever, like the business doing well helps. But then I came to that realization. I was like, I can't do that to myself. Because at the end of the day, man, when you're by yourself and your mind is the only thing running and you're just telling yourself garbage,
yes,
you're putting yourself in a terrible position. If you, at the end of the day, you are your biggest cheerleader. So if that voice in your head turns against you, bro, that, like, I'm a pretty mentally strong person. I don't really struggle with mental health or anything, but someone who does, that can be so detrimental to them. Yes. Especially for chasing something so big and so beyond them, and so far, it seems so far ahead. Bro, this is an endurance race. This is not a sprint. This is an endurance thing. And if, like I said, if that voice in your head isn't cheering you on, that's where you need to start. Drop the business. No, I'm not saying quit. I'm saying put it to rest. Work on your mind, because bro, I'm telling you, this stuff. There were points that I was telling myself, I was like, man, like you just beat yourself up. You just say like,
Oh,
I'm like,
tell me about it.
like this is not good enough, and like all these other companies and all my and like again the friend comparison. Like,
Comparison.
like there were some dudes I grew up with like in high school. Because like I don't know,
Yeah.
you've been to Calgary, like do you know like Western Canada High School?
Yeah.
It's like a pretty it's like a rich kid school kind of thing.
Yeah, that's where Kyle went, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I know.
like a lot of friends that I grew up with, I have a friend, he owns like a tech company. I have another friend, he owns like it's like a resale like a like Supreme, all the kind of like hype beast resell apps. He's doing super well for himself. But like a lot of friends are who in med school dance. You know what I mean? Like that kind of. So
yeah, I know.
You just start doing the comparison game of like, man, like what am I doing? That kind of stuff. So
yeah,
those are the times that you have to stop. When things are quiet, you have to stop and be comfortable with your own mind. Because I think that's the biggest thing. A lot of people are not comfortable being alone and doing things alone because they're left with their own thoughts. And when your thoughts are destructive, it doesn't help push you forward at all. So I really, really, really encourage a lot of people who are doing this stuff, whether it's podcasting, business, blah, blah, blah. You need to take some time. I'm not like, I hate to sound like a meditation guru or what, blah, blah, blah.
Hey man, I've been saying this for the last 6 podcasts. I've been saying exactly what you're saying. Don't worry about it.
I don't even want to use the term meditate. Just, find some inner peace. Just chill.
Go for a walk.
Anything. A walk. Find that thing that's going to settle your mind and just ground yourself. You know what I mean? Ground yourself in like, yo, man, I've got a house, I've got family, I'm healthy, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. Find the positive in your life. To just chill. Life is long. Chill.
Or I think just one addendum to that, Sean. I think work on that. I think that's a skill, just like all these other things. I think working on that and trying to find that yourself, because that's something I'm always struggling with. If you could hear the voice that I talk to myself for like a week, you'd think I'm bipolar. I am the greatest. I'm going to be fucking Joe Rogan 2.0. Just wait, I'm coming. And then you are a fucking idiot. You know nothing about this. Why are you even trying? Like I am all the way up and down, and I'm always trying to, and sometimes it's out loud, and sometimes it's my girlfriend from the other room. Stop calling yourself an idiot, right? Like, because sometimes you're editing, like, why the fuck are you such an idiot? Like out loud even sometimes. But I'm trying to be better with it. And I'm trying to, I heard this, I said it a million times on this podcast already, but you should never speak to yourself like you'd speak to another child, right? If there's a way you'd speak to a 6-year-old, that should be how you talk to yourself, because you'd never talk to them like that. You have that level of decency and that level of love. You can be real with them and you can tell them when they're fucking up, but you have to do it with that love. And I feel like that's something I definitely struggle with. I've gotten much better with it over the years, but it's always a struggle. And I think that's something going into a big life-changing, whether it's an entrepreneurship, whatever you're chasing, it's good to go into it knowing that voice is going to be up and down. There's going to be times, but to always try, at least be always making a conscious effort towards that, being okay with yourself.
And that's the thing, be realistic with yourself. You know what I mean? Like, and that's another thing that's kind of like stopped me from speaking that way in my mind of like, oh my God, like I have no idea what I don't speak like that to myself anymore, because it's like, it's like, dude, I understand that you want to do big things. Big things are hard and it takes a lot of time. That's literally, whenever you start freaking out or whatever, that's literally what you have to tell yourself, because it's the truth. Nobody just it's rare that you just build a crazy business in under 5 years or whatever.
Yeah,
there's a lot of, and I think it's just taking appreciation in the small, like, dude, all this stuff is so cliche, but it's so true. It's 100%. Taking appreciation in the small steps that you make. You know what I mean? Like, first sale, that second sale, that first positive feedback of like, man, this stuff is awesome, that kind of stuff. And like, just take your time with it. Take your time with it.
Exactly.
Yourself,
And enjoy the process. And when you feel yourself not enjoying the process, stop and take a moment to try and figure out why. That is a very important thing, I think, in all aspects. And I think this is just something, I think on the very first podcast I did with my sister, we spoke about compassion fatigue in the medical field, and just how we're asking so much of these people in the medical field day after day, and they're dealing with, and now as technology goes, now you're having patients come in that are trying to tell you, you know, you went to med school for how these years, and now you're being told like to try and keep that love of the game almost, right? That's like a funny way to say it when you're talking about the medical field, but that love of what you're doing, that compassion has to be there. And I think we need to start telling people that if it's gonna, just like everything else, it's ups and downs, it's peaks and valleys. You're gonna have times where you're 100% all in. There's gonna be times where you're feeling a little bit, you know, maybe not as connected to that goal that you've been chasing for all these years, right? There's times, but when you do feel that disconnection, you have to just take a moment, step back. What is it about that? What am I not enjoying about this process? Is it, am I putting too much hours in doing the research? Is that where and lots of time when you're saying, you know, when you reach a break point, that's somewhere, you know, you need investment or maybe need an employee, but maybe it's when you stop, if you've done everything and you got to the point where I'm going to lose my love for this if I don't get some help in this area, and find the areas that make sure you're not going to cover up any areas you don't fully understand yet. I think going back to the point we made earlier, make sure you have a good understanding of the areas if you are going to bring someone in, and then also find the points that you can enjoy. Once you have that understanding, once you've built that foundation, you can start to tailor yourself to the more important and fulfilling roles of the business or whatever it is, and you can take those changes as long as you're honest with yourself, like we talked about, and you know that you have fully understood them and you're not giving away something. Because it's funny, our minds are so good at camouflaging laziness as, you know, we're so good at lying to ourselves and saying, you know, oh, I'm just not good at this, so that's what I'm not doing. But it's just because you don't enjoy it, you don't want to do it, right? There's so many times that's why that honesty is so important, because of the skill set that we all build up just through navigating life. It's a defense mechanism of being able to lie to yourself. It's important to keep you whole, but you have to eventually at some point in your life take personal responsibility over top of that and start to call out your own bullshit and that. And I feel like that's what complicates so many of these things we've discussed. Are all important and all very, very good things, but if someone doesn't realize the lies that they're telling themselves or how their brain works, I think that's so much of it is understanding how your brain works. What stories do you tell yourself? What narratives are you working with? Because once you understand those, now sometimes you think a thought, or you think you're thinking a thought, but really it's just your mind playing tricks on you. You have to break down your own thoughts and your own beliefs and really find the actual truth in them. And I feel like that's something that if you want to go far with stuff, you're going to have to eventually take that step and do that deep work to understand where you're coming from. And I think that's where we see a lot of people that they think they're doing everything right. You know, I'm grinding, I'm doing everything. And I think, you know, because everything's telling me that I'm on the right path, I'm doing all this stuff, but there's some deep work that you're lying to yourself. There's some way that's putting you off on the wrong path. If you are putting in all this work and you think you're doing the right things and you're still getting off track, then maybe you need to take a step back, stop for a second, and find out where that piece is. What are you missing? What am I not taking with me into this? And what do I need to fix so that I can?
Always talking about. You gotta be honest, bro. You have to be honest with yourself.
And like everything else, it's a skill. Being honest with yourself is a skill that you have to learn, and you know it's gonna come from making mistakes and realizing that where you think you're telling the truth and you're lying, and then you get down the road, man, this isn't what I wanted. Fuck, you know. Well, okay, let's take a couple steps back. What was I telling myself back then? What were the little red flags I could have seen that I clearly didn't? That got me into this position where I lied to myself and kind of screwed myself over. Okay, now next time I'm gonna be on the lookout for that, and I'll be better next time. Right? That's all it really takes. That's all that's asked of you. But that seems like such a monumental. It seems like anytime people have to look at themselves, it's that fear that comes up. There's all these pushback. You will do almost anything not to look within yourself, right? Everyone, they will kick, they will scream. I don't want to look at my own brain. Fuck that shit. Or I don't want to be alone with my thoughts. Fuck that shit, right? But I think that is a message that we need to start to tell people. If that's how you're feeling of, I don't want to be alone with my thoughts, that's for a reason. And that's, you know, there's clearly something there if you don't want to talk about it that you're going to need to address if you ever want to succeed in something, right? Doesn't matter what it is. If you want to succeed in anything, you can't have that baggage holding you back, or it's going to keep derailing you. Even when you're putting the effort in, doing the right things, it's going to keep knocking you off track. And then eventually, if you don't do that, now eventually you're going to start a family and you're going to have that stuff with you, and it's going to start to affect the people that you love, or even if you don't, you know, it's a significant other, it's your parents, whatever it is, you're going to start affecting those people that you love because you haven't done that work within yourself, right? Right. Yeah. No, that's awesome. So then another area that I saw and that I really appreciated was, it seems like you're always trying to keep some sort of social mission, some sort of public good as well with the companies that you start, and you're always trying to do something good for the world. It seems, maybe I'm reading into it too much, but it always seems like that's important to you. Oh, yeah. Where does that come from, and just how has that manifested itself so far?
Yeah, man. So I think that's probably one of the biggest portions of like my future in terms of what I want to do with this business. I think I mean, it just comes back to like my mom, like how we were raised. Like we were raised to like like the end goal is not just have a lot of money. You got to do
Right.
stuff for people, right? And I don't find enjoyment just doing stuff for myself. I think it's fun helping people. I think it's fun, bringing people up. And I think I'm telling, like, one of my biggest goals for this company, my brand is it's like a family oriented brand. So one of the things I really really want to do in the future is like I want to host like maybe like family day events sponsored by our company. So like we get families inside the community. We have like family games. Then we have a little like like a little entrepreneurial camp for the kids to just like learn about business, learn about. It doesn't even have to be business. Like learning about themselves,
anything,
what they like,
life,
art, life, right? Just kind of unlocking whatever skills that they might have. So that's something I really like. I'm like dead set on doing in the future with this company. Like a yearly sponsored event where we just get families together and we just have a lot of fun like that.
That's amazing.
That's one like 100% dream that I'm trying to do. And then just growing this as a family oriented, positive brand and something that I'm actually coming out with later. So we have in association with like the cookies, I have like a clothing, and
I've seen it. Yeah, they're good.
And like, I actually want to rebrand the whole thing because I was like, okay, I kind of want to do something else with this. So I'm coming out with like it's a brand called Good Cookie. So the company's gonna be called Good Cookie, and then our slogan is gonna be Do Good. And with that, I want, with whatever proceeds of every month, kind of donate towards a good cause. And I want for that to even push our message of goodness, helping the neighbor. You know what I mean, like being a good,
that's awesome.
Being a good person. That kind of
I love that.
I'm really really excited for that project. So like right now, I'm just trying to find a good manufacturer because I want it to be like really high quality stuff.
Yeah, that's what I noticed with your last stuff. It all looked really high quality.
Yeah, I really want to look for like a good manufacturer, high quality stuff, and I want to get like nice embroidered, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's kind of like the next project in terms of being good out into the world, if you want to say that.
Yeah.
But like, it's not, dude. None of that stuff is like to pat myself on the back or anything like that. I just really, in my opinion, if you are put in a position, if you're growing into a position of a business or whatever, and you do not contribute to your community, I feel like you're not doing anything. Like what?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I couldn't agree more, Sean. That's exactly what I feel like with this podcast, and I'm always looking for people, and I'm reaching out to people like yourself that are doing. And when I see you doing good, that makes me want to support you, and I want to bring you on. I want to sell cookies. I want people to connect with your story and be able to sell cookies. I'm hoping that when this podcast comes out, you get a couple hundred orders coming from Slave Lake and Grand Prairie. That you just start starting seeing them fly up there because you are doing good, and that's what I'm looking for is cool voices that don't. I feel like there's so much of life is about making money, and so everything's set up with that as the number one goal, and it can put us into some bad incentives, and I think you need to always keep that in mind of spreading some good. And I agree with you. I don't know where it came from. You said it clearly came from your mom. I don't know. I must have come from my parents, but I had that same feeling of you should, if you have a platform to spread good, why not? Right? It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't do anything. And like you say, it's not to pat yourself on the back. It's just it's what you should do, and it's just something that's within you, right? Yeah. And I saw that right away with like when I go on your website, everything about the branding, almost from the very start when you first started, you could see that and you could connect with it, right? Whether it was said explicitly of we're doing these things to help you don't even need to say it explicitly. It's in everything you do, right? And if you keep that as a goal in your mind, it starts to get inside of it. I had the local brewery that started in Slave Lake, where my hometown on, and you could tell in talking to them just how much they put into every little thing, how much love went into every decision, every little small detail, and it comes out in their social media, in their website, in their beer, because it's an amazing product. Their tap room is just gorgeous, every detail. But when you put love into every detail like that, it comes out in the ways in it, and it shows, right? If you have a a message of good. It makes its way out into the product, into the customer base. It's a little bit woo woo, but I think it's very important. I think it's very clear that it happens and that you can see it. And I think just more people should be keeping that in mind. That's one of the things that I was most impressed by when I was doing a little digging back into this and doing a little bit more research into just where you guys have started, because you guys have come a long way. I remember, I think even from when I ordered to when I was coming back through looking at the website, like it looks even better now. Like you guys are just, it looks awesome. And if that's your girlfriend, dude, hats off to her, man. Sure, her design and shit and the colors and oh man, it's beautiful. It's so good. It looks professionally done. That's why I was so surprised when you were saying you don't have any employees yet and you're still doing this all by yourself. I was like, holy shit, I wouldn't have guessed that. If I had to guess, I would have thought you had like 4 or 5 people.
Terrible before. But like dude, it was really bad before. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like it was those little things of like learning and like realizing it looks really bad.
Yeah.
Kind of fixing it and then little by little just tweaking it here and there, and then I guess it's pretty. Yeah, I like it. It's not bad right
now. Yeah, no, it looks great. Not to change gears, I'm sure we'll go back to it, but just another thing in doing it. Your other app that you were starting, is that still going the word up?
So funny enough, that thing that goes back to like the investment thing that we were talking about. So that one. So I guess I kind of give context to it.
Yeah, give a.
So yeah, Word Up was an app that my friend and we were starting. It's like a platform that like allows students to like study together, like make notes together, like a student organizational app as well, that kind of thing. But funds were like hard because like, dude, trying to build an app, it takes a lot of money. So like, it funds kind of dried up, and like in order to push further, like we for sure needed more. But so I reached out to like one of my family friends. Like he's a business guy. He does like real estate, blah, blah, blah. And then one of his friends is like a super super rich guy in Vancouver, and like he's doing investment. So I was like, well, can you like put me in contact with him? Like investment, blah blah. And then my uncle was just like the family friend. We always call him uncle. He was just honest with me. He's like, man, this is a big fish that you're trying to work with, and if you don't, and it goes back to my point of investment, if you don't have that social proof already, there's no point in asking for that investment. So we kind of put that business on pause for right now, because like I said, like funds are trying to put, like I'm talking like 20, 30,000, probably close to 1,000, that kind of thing. So
apps aren't cheap
for sure, and that's the thing. And on top of that, trying to juggle that with my business right now, and
100%,
right. So it's like I kind of want to just focus on one thing. So I was kind of just focusing on what's going well, and that's like the cookie business. So, but yeah, no, that app, like I think it is super dope, and I think especially at a time like this where there's a lot of like social distancing, is going back to school, blah blah blah. I think it would be an amazing app for them, but just like I said, we had to put that on pause for now.
So just I didn't look too far in, but just from the outside, it almost looked like, like how like Google Docs when that came out and everyone could share, and it was so nice for like group projects and stuff, but everyone could be on. But it was, it was taking the format of like a Word doc and Excel and sharing and having it shared. But it seemed like what you were doing is taking that steps further, making flashcards, making questions, right, making that all share. Is that kind of the idea of what it was?
Yeah. So yeah, the idea was the idea of it was exactly just like the document style. Like we actually wanted that as an additional feature, but again, that's money, right? But
for sure,
we wanted that, and like the flashcard idea of people just to collaborate on notes, so that some kid misses a lesson in class. Well, we're in a group chat together. We already took the notes. It's already on the group, and then you can just go through the flashcards, blah blah blah. So yeah, I still love the idea of the app. I think it's
it seems like a great idea. That's kind of why I wanted to bring it up, and I was curious if that was where it was, because another part of me too is thinking maybe a couple years down the road, some guy will be listening to this, or some guy's kid, and say, hey, this is a good idea. Maybe invest in it and reach back out, start it back up. So that's also what I think is cool about this podcast too. Is it is pretty small at this point, but I think it's almost like an investment when people come on, like yourself, like it's only going to reach X amount of people when I release it, right? And then as I grow, because I've only been out a month, maybe 3 months from now, if my subscriber base is growing, people are going back in the back catalog, and then it grows and grows. And if it ever does take off one day, or when it takes off one day, I think I can have the confidence enough to say that I think it's gonna, right? Then now all that hours and hours I spent stressing over asking people and feeling terrible about, taking up your time and asking you for a couple hours of your time. That's probably the hardest part of this for me is I hate being an inconvenience to people. That was always part of who I hate bugging people. So I'm always, whenever works for you, all this stuff. And I feel so bad about it. But I think eventually it's going to pay off to the point where, oh no, it wasn't all that. And I can pay that back to you. You pay me back in your time. And then I
think it's just people, we should like, don't be scared to like whatever it costs or whatever. Just like, I never like to look at my time and my assistance towards anybody as like charity. I don't want to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think just like going back to what we said before, I think you should do good by people, and if you notice that this is gonna help someone. I'm not the type of person of like, nah, I don't want him to get ahead or me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's whatever.
And that's not what it's based in for me, Sean. I think it's about, I have such a weird, and I think I'm a little bit fucked up with this, is I have such value on my time, and I break down my time to my half hours, and like, if you waste I have so much value about my time that I project that onto other people. If that's how they view their time. And I found that it's very unrealistic. Nobody else so far thinks of this like me. But because of that, I just think like, man, how much value I would have. Someone asked me for 2 hours, 3 hours of my time, I would have a really I value that time very highly. So I put that on to other people, and then I feel bad. How I would feel about being asked. And I would definitely be down to do something like this. I would love to be guest on podcasts. That's not to say I wouldn't, but say it was something else. Say you asked me to come help you bag cookies for 3 hours, right? Like, I would have a high value on the time. I would still do it. And like you say, I'm not like that I would still enjoy doing that. But I just feel like, because I have such high value on my time, that I just feel bad asking other people for them. But it's nice to keep that in. It's again, like reframing, like going into work and reframing it as learning and getting better. It's, maybe you feel a little bit guilty about asking for people's time, but if you reframe it as, no, this is an investment that they're going to do. And eventually when this blows up and people catch on to what I'm trying to do here, it's going to be great for them. And it's going to return tenfold. What I got from them is going to be repaid back tenfold. And I think that's good to keep them in my head. And it's making it a little bit easier to, take those swings and reach out to those people. Because when it's guys like you, I knew you'd come on and you'd be a good guest and that, but when you step it up to maybe a bigger guest that I don't know, and I'm just reaching out on a whim to try, it's their time. And that's what I feel really bad about. I had a guest on yesterday, super interesting guy. His name's David Akin. He grew up in Venezuela, moved to America, did an internship with Google, worked on Wall Street, did all these things, started to open a bank in Chile. And then, but his goal this whole time, he wanted to go give back. He wanted to start businesses in Africa. This whole time he had that idea. So I think he said a childhood teacher had kind of put that idea in his head as a kid. So he always, like, everything he was doing when he left wherever he was to go to Wall Street, because he wanted to learn how money works for eventually when he goes to Africa. And that's what he told him. He said, like, I'm leaving this awesome job at this bank to go start my whatever business in Africa. And they said, whoa, like, we have a bank opening in Chile if you want to travel and you want to make a difference. So he did that for a year. But anyways, he eventually ended up in Namibia and is doing all these crazy things. He's revolutionized like the food industry and like building houses and also he's doing amazing work. But I fucked up, Sean, and I almost I thought I lost the audio. He would, like, something happened at the end and it didn't end up saving. And I honestly tell just now, like, just talking to you is the first time I felt not sick to my stomach ever since I got home and realized that it happened and immediately reached out to him and apologized, right? Tried to take accountability. Yeah. I felt so bad. I almost felt like I could throw up. I felt so bad about it the whole time. It's still, my stomach is queasy from it. Just, you ask someone for that work, and it was a great podcast. And I'm glad it's now, just this morning, right before I found out they had a backup, and I think I got a copy and I've got it back. But still that feeling of, oh my God, what did I fucking do? Right. It's just that, I've just been beating myself. It was funny to hear you come in and talk about right off the hop about how you talk to yourself, because the way I've been talking to myself from like all last night to this morning was just some dark ass shit, like, fuck, like, what are you doing, you fucking idiot? But it's just funny things like that. I don't even know where I was going with that. I just feel like I needed to vent, maybe just that, to get it off my chest. But when you go through stuff like that, it's just, and I think that was wise, because that was my first big crack at someone I don't know him from Adam, and he's a super nice guy. But that was reaching out and, taking that next step. He's my first real guest that isn't one of my friends. Yeah. And to fuck it up like that, I just was so hard on myself the whole time. But now I think it's all going to work out, and I'm really excited to put that episode out, because it's quite interesting, real interesting guy. But just when you're playing on those scales and you have so much invested into it, right? Just like you, I'm sure there's times where it's because of the amount you care. If I didn't care about this podcast, it wouldn't have been a big deal, right? It would have been whatever, you lost some time. But because it's something that's so important to me, I felt so terrible. I felt so bad for him that he just was so generous with his time. He's super busy running all these different things there, and he gave me his like hours on his day, and then I wasted it on him. Oh, I just felt terrible. But I think that's what is also scary is that's a scary that it's creating vulnerabilities. People are always trying not to be vulnerable. They're trying to, patch up vulnerabilities so they're not available to the outside world. And that's a big vulnerability by going into starting a business like yourself that you really care about, or starting a podcast like this. That's a big vulnerability you open up. It's easy for people to attack. It's an easy attack vector. If someone wants to hurt your feelings, they know the first place to go because you care about it. So it's I think that's a lot of what holds people back from starting these things, because it gives people an easy, it's putting your heart on your sleeve that, hey, I care about this and I want it to do well, right? And it's a super rewarding, but almost it's a double-edged sword, right? It's so rewarding, but it's so vulnerable to do, and I think that's what really holds people back, is they don't want to bring that. They spend their whole time same as not wanting to be alone with their thoughts. I don't want to be vulnerable.
They want to look cool, bro. That's all it's all about.
Yeah, exactly. They just want to look cool.
Like people don't want to show people like the bro. I'm telling you, my photography of like my snacks was terrible when I started. Like it was so bad, and like people don't like, you don't want to post that stuff and just look like a bum online. Mm-hmm. But like you just need to not care. Like that's just what it is, because you already, like you said, you already know the growth process of that. So it's, who cares,
Yeah. Oh man, it's funny, and it's and once you can take the step back and get back to that point of, I can't care about this, but it's hard not to. It's a constant battle of, keep telling yourself, and when you feel yourself starting to care too much about those things and starting to care about what other people think, you almost have to just give yourself a smack on the head and go, no, come on, that's not what this is about. You're doing this for you. This is your project. Who cares what other people think? It's not about them. It's about what you want to get out of it. And just always doing that check-in of, are you getting out of it what you want to? And so far I am. And I'm assuming for you, do you check in with yourself to make sure along the way that you are getting out what you want out of it?
I think it's just, like I said, more recently, again, I don't like to, what I've tried not to do is tie my my opinion and my happiness to like the growth of my business.
Right. Like, that is very important.
Like, it's hard not to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like things have been going well. So of course, like, I've been like, this is good. Like I'm excited for this, blah, blah, blah. But like, regardless of that, I don't know, man. I'm really, I swear I've messed myself up, because I've almost like drilled into my head, and it's such a bad thing, but I've drilled into my head, like, man, there is no enjoyment until the job is done. Like I'm really, really bad with that. Like I'm the type of dude that, like, I don't know, like for me, I have fun, but like fun for me is like, playing catch, play a few video games, and like, okay, back to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, honestly, this is not advice to anybody by no means.
Yeah.
Obviously find what's good for you. But like, it's like, you need to be serious about the growth of your business. That like the idea that I always put in is like, on the micro level of things. So like the day to day, you need to be wake up and do everything in that day that's going to move you forward. If you know what I mean? Like whether that's fulfilling, for me, it's like fulfilling the orders, reaching out to influencers, reaching out to people, or, working on the social media, blah, 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 that kind of thing. In the macro lens of things, so like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, that's just patience. That's like the patience level of things. And like I said, I think I've kind of messed myself up, because on the macro, I'm like, dude, I'm not going to enjoy anything for the next 5 years. I'm just going to work and work.
It's all grind.
And it's really, really, it's like I really struggle with that, because, like, especially being in a like relationship too, right? Like you can't be, owning a business is a selfish thing. And it is tough for like the people around you, because like, I'm kind of weird, because I have a lot of emotion in my mind. Like I have a lot of compassion in my mind in terms of like, when I see something, but like when I express it, people almost can't really tell. And like, weird, like, for example, like my mom was talking to me the other day. She was telling me she thought I was mad because I didn't really say anything. But in my mind,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, I love my mom so much. Da, da, da. And she
Yeah.
called me again, and she's like, "Are you like angry?" I'm like, "No. Like, why would I be? Why would I?" She's like, "You didn't say anything." And I was like, "No." I was like, "Oh no, I'm just kind of like that." Like for me, I swear I've messed myself up because everything is like all my enjoyment or whatever, it's just in my head, and then out here, I'm just like, I just want to work, just want to get through it, just want to work. No enjoyment, no play. But in my mind, I'm like, I'm still kind of, like it's I don't know,
Yeah.
weird. I'm
It's
kind of weird like that. But
Yeah, and it's whatever works for you. But I think what's most important is that you're honest with yourself about all that, right? And it doesn't matter to the outside world, right? It doesn't matter if you can explain that to me or to your mom, to anybody, as long as you are confident that you're not lying and that you are still happy. And if you can recognize that, I have this amount of time that I need to grind for, and the happiness will come after. As long as you're okay with that, and it's not, and that you can have the honesty to find that maybe that's okay. The other thing too is, and what I found is a lot of times you kind of think of your happiness and just that constant mix of all these plates you have in the air. It's always changing, right? The business is growing, new challenges are popping up, and you always have to keep checking in with yourself, because maybe at this point right now, at the rate it's growing, that idea of I'm going to have no fun until 5 years from now, and that, but maybe your business doubles in the next 2 months, and you need to have a check in with yourself. Okay, maybe I need to plan in a little bit of still that 5 year plan of I'm going to keep grinding until then, but I need to mix in a few, getaways in that to give myself a little break, because now it's a different.
for sure, I need to, because I'm really bad with that. I'm like really.
I know. I can get that sense. It seems like it.
Really, like when the second I'm waking up, it's like, okay, so straight to the social media, do this. Okay, what orders? Okay, da da da. I'm barely like, I like in my mind, in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking about like my family, my friends. Like, oh, I wonder how they're doing. Da, da, da. But I almost never, and that's I need to stop doing that. Is I think about it, but I never act on it. Like just sending out a cool text of like, hey,
reach out,
guys. Love this, like to my sisters, my brother, my mom. Like just hey, love you guys. Hope you guys have a great day. Stuff like that. Because I'm so bad at like projecting in my mind, like, oh yeah, I hope my sisters and everybody has a great day, and then I'm just okay. Let's just keep working.
Yeah.
They don't know that. They didn't know that I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So in their perspective, they're like, man, he doesn't talk to us, or like he's so wrapped up in his business, he doesn't think about us anymore.
Yeah.
But that's for me, it's not true. Like I'm always thinking about my family. I always like, I love my family, whatever, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's just like I need to get better at projecting that and actually doing. You know what I mean? Because I just get
for sure
wrapped up in like the problems of like my business, that kind of thing. So.
And I think I think a lot of people will connect with that, Sean. I don't think maybe everyone will have the same way. I don't think it'll be a business that, but I think there's lots of things in people's lives where something else is operating, and they are, doing it in their mind of thinking those things and not saying them. And I think that's something that a lot of people can probably reach out. I do the same thing all the time. You're thinking about someone, and that's something I started doing too. Was I don't do it often, but every couple months, if you think of someone, from your life that was really cool, just send it, take the 30 seconds to type out a meaningful, just quick paragraph. It doesn't need to be a whole story, just why they are amazing, what was so impressive to you, and just send that off. And I feel like it's such a nice way of, even if you are that kind of person where you forget to check in because that's me too. I got busy with this job. There's people and I think what's nice about this podcast too is I can reach back out and reconnect with people like this, because the business for the last 3 years, I haven't reached out to anybody. It'd be every once in a while, I might be in Edmonton, I might go to the university, and there might be a party or something that I can reconnect with a couple people. But other than that, there's so much of that. And I think just keeping that in mind and keeping that as a goal that you want to get to. And maybe it's just, I need to grind like this for the next 2 years, and then I can start reaching out a bit more. I got to reconnect, make it a goal that, this is still important to me. And if it's important to you in your head, you have to make sure that they are at least acknowledging that too. And I think that's a beautiful sentiment, right? You just got to make sure that they understand that and they know that. And maybe that's, and I think also too is having, I think if you are like that, is to make sure those people that are important enough to you understand that too. And that I am thinking about you all the time, and being, honest with them to make sure they know that, so they don't feel any different way, and they know that you are thinking of them. Yeah, it's good. It's always good to keep that in the back of your head. It's just a good goal, almost like when you have that social good as an aspect to your business, it bleeds through into other things. I think a lot in the same ways. When you have those things in the back of your mind, you are sending those positive vibes to people. It does come out in other ways, but sometimes you just need to take that extra step to tell people about it
Exactly.
so that they know it. And now it almost opens them up to start feeling those, those positive vibes that you are sending. If they know that you are thinking that way, now it opens them up for them, right? And they can take them in better. And I think that's just another important thing. I like with the woo stuff we're getting into. You're willing to go with it. I'm always that way. I always very abstract in the way I think of things. Yeah, no, it's awesome. So I guess it's been growing so quickly. It's probably changing all the time. But maybe what were some of the specific goals that you set of just maybe certain orders amount, and then what were some of the ones you've already gotten to, and then in the next 5-10 years, where do you want to grow the business to? Where do you are you not thinking of it that way? How do you characterize your where do you want to bring it?
So right now, I guess short term wise, it's achieving what I want it to achieve. In terms of like the Instagram account is growing.
Yeah.
Lots of like response from our customers. That's this thing because like I didn't want to build something where people just like kind of like are like uneasy about like commenting and stuff. Like people, what I really love to see is like when we post about something, like maybe like a picture of one of our snacks or whatever, people like comment underneath like, "Oh my god, this is my favorite one," or they tag their blah blah blah, or we'll post like a funny meme or whatever, and people like or whatever, that kind of stuff. So in terms of short term, I like where it's going. My next goal is probably opening up, and this is I was talking about this with one of my friends. So a lot of like I guess food businesses or businesses in general, the reason why a lot of people are like, oh yeah, the restaurant or food or blah 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 businesses fail in the first few years is because what I've noticed is when people are introducing their business to a market, they don't really know the reaction to their product first before they've launched it. So what I've noticed, so I'm going to use an example of one of the restaurants that opened up really quickly and then closed really quickly. That was, so it was this, it was like an Asian wing. They had like rice and bubble tea type thing, right?
All right.
So these guys, and it was crazy because they had a bunch of social media hype.
Oh, yeah.
I bought into it because I went to go get it, right? So I was like, okay, cool. We hit this place up. Food was garbage. I'm just gonna be honest. Like it was really, really bad. Like I think I got fried rice. I got some wings, and then I got this like strawberry bubble tea, and they put like this like cream cheese thing on top. It was kind of, but anyway, it was bad. It was really bad.
Yeah.
And like and I was thinking, like after I left, I was like, who is going to go back to this place? Because you're crazy if you do.
Yeah.
It isn't good. So then like when I saw that people were going back or whatever, and I guess it was like less and less and less over time, I was like, okay, this makes sense because like this isn't, I'm sorry, but this is not good. So that my point of that is launching a location. Why the restaurant business or food business or just launching a business is hard is because going back to that first point of people think that you can just open a store and then you're gonna get flooded with customers. Even if, say you do have a good product, people don't even know what it tastes like. People don't even know what the quality of it is like. Blah blah blah, that kind of thing. So some people are hesitant to try it out. Some people are hesitant to come in. They don't know your brand. They don't know you. They don't know anything.
Yeah.
So my idea with this whole thing was, now that I have like a pretty good following and continuing to grow our following, I'm way less scared to open a physical location now. So my goal in the next let's say 5 years is to have my I guess, okay, let's talk short term and then let's talk long term. So my short term goal is, so let's say 5 years, is to finally open our a physical location where we're doing like our deep fried cookies, and then we'll serve it with a side of ice cream. That's like the goal, right? So ideally, I want to have like two locations in Calgary, so one in the north, one in the south. That's like my ideal. That's like my short term goal in 5 years. And then long term, of course, is expanding that to, so my next city to expand to would be like Edmonton, then it would be Vancouver, and then I want to go like east to like Toronto, just like east side area.
Yeah.
That's like kind of
That's awesome.
my growth plan in terms of growing it to, I guess, a nationwide business, and just continuing. So obviously, have the two facets to the business. So we have our online sales, which is directly to the customer, and then we have our in person, so people can jump on and then just grab it, just hang out with the family, grab some cookies and ice cream.
Yeah.
So that's
well, as soon as you said ice cream, I was just thinking back to tasting all those cookies. I'm like, man, that'd be a good combo with ice cream.
The chocolate, like, so the M&M chocolate one and then the chocolate and coffee one. Those two, if you have them with ice cream, oh man, those are crazy. Like I'm telling you, man, the new recipe of the chocolate one is so good, and that toffee chocolate one is amazing. Like that's probably, I think that one and the cinnamon one, like the cinnamon sugar one, I think those two are my favorite. Those ones, the chocolate one with the ice cream is an insane combination. So I can't wait to get to the point where I can really open like the first location. I think that's gonna be awesome. So.
Yeah, and I'm thinking I'll probably have a week or two before I put this out. Maybe I'll try and order all the new flavors I haven't tried yet and get some ice cream and have a big bowl of it right on the release that with it. Tell people, this is where you order the cookies, get some ice cream, put this shit together. That's what you got to do. Oh, it's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, anything we didn't get to, or anything about the business, any aspects of that we didn't get to today, Sean, or do you want to add to that?
I think the one advice that I want to give to people,
do
not be afraid to do stuff for free. So the one thing that has helped grow my business the most is doing things for free. You need to, so every Friday we do like a free cookie giveaway to like our customers or to Instagram followers. So like new Instagram followers, so people who don't know anything about the business. We choose like a few followers and we give them free stuff. Ever since I started doing that, not only has there been crazy interest inside the business, but the people who taste it, who get it for free, maybe half of them end up being, consistent customers.
Yeah.
And then they tell, you know what I mean? Like, you need to understand, like, everyone's like, oh my God, how do I market? Blah, blah, blah. When you do something for someone, and again, don't give and don't expect anything back, right? But when it does come back, it usually comes back beautifully because they tell a friend, that friend tells another friend, they post on their social media, blah, 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 that kind of stuff, right? So doing stuff for free should never scare you. It is harder for some services to do stuff for free, but there's always a way that you can plug in some sort of free aspect to your business. But I think it drops the vulnerability of the other person because they feel like they feel more. I feel like if I'm just a business and I'm like, hey man, that's gonna cost you this much, like that kind of thing. It's people are kind of taken back.
Keeps that barrier.
Yeah, it's like
don't want to be taken advantage.
You're just a business, I don't know if I want to spend my money here, blah blah blah. If you're open and you're just like, hey man, here's a free sample, blah blah blah. People like that because they feel appreciated. They're like, man, you don't even know me, you're giving me some free stuff. Like, cool, I'll take. And a lot of people, they're scared of that because they feel like they're being taken advantage of. Who cares? Whatever. There's gonna be some people that just want some free stuff and then they never use your services ever again. That's okay. You're not in it for that. You're in it for the people who really appreciate that you just gave them something for free, and then from that they spread to their social network of their friends or whatever, and they appreciate it, and then sometimes they come back
and it comes back.
So
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. And if people do want to order, it'll be in all the in the notes and everything, and in the intro and outro. But where can people go to get it? What's the website?
So it's mamaechinchin.com. So that's our website.
Okay.
And then our social media is at Mama E Cookie Snacks. So
Mama E Cookie Snacks. And Instagram's probably your best one. That's where I've seen everything. It seems awesome.
The website's directly on there, and then they can just go through there and all that kind of stuff. But
awesome. Yeah. So get following on Instagram. They're always doing giveaways. Always showing new flavors. They always have beautiful branding. It's a great follow. It's a great follow. And either way, and I really hope that I see a big bunch of orders coming out from Slave Lake and Grand Prairie heading down your way, because I want this message to grow, and they're awesome fucking cookies. You can trust me. Those of you that know me well know I like to eat, and they know that I'm not gonna lie about some cookies if I don't like them. I would say so. So they're fucking awesome, and I can't say how proud I am of watching what you've done in just this short time, Sean. I always knew you had a fire inside you. You could see it every time you talked to it. From the first time I met you, you could see that, and it was very impressive. And I didn't know quite what direction it would take, and I almost didn't care because it was one of those ones when I met you, it was like, oh shit, whatever this guy does, it's going to be fucking awesome. Let's just keep tabs on him and see where it goes. And then as soon as I saw you going into whether it was the apps or into this, I knew you'd take it as far as it could physically be taken, and it wouldn't be capped by effort by any means, because that's just not who you are. And keep going, and I'd love to have you back on in maybe a couple months or a couple of years, and we'll see where you are now, and we'll get another round of cookies ordered from Slave Lake.
For sure, bro.
Sound good?
Appreciate it, bro.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, for sure, bro.
All right, there you have it, episode 13 in the books. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. Hopefully we can send some orders his way. You won't be disappointed. The cookies are awesome, and he's doing a really great job. And I just want to support people that are putting the effort in. That's what I love to see. That's what gets me going, to seeing people really dive in and put that effort forth. And Sean's one of those guys. So if you could support him, that would support me, and it helps the whole world go around. So other than that, if you want to reach out, I've already said how to do it in the intro, and if you could just follow the Instagram and the Twitter pages, that'd be a huge help, and can't wait to see you guys next week. Thanks, guys.